Welcome to Just Another Game Review. We do game reviews.
He is not wrong. As always, we're Aaron, Randy, and Zach, and today we're going to talk to you about Zelda Breath of the Wild. Alright, so I guess the first thing that we should talk about was, what did you experience when you first turned it on? What was the game like, and was it what you expected from a Zelda game?
I don't think it was anything what I expected a Zelda game was going to be. Just because I played like all the previous installments on like Super Nintendo.
Was it
And
better or worse?
it was 100% better.
Really?
They took it in a completely different direction, in the right direction.
Yeah. What about you?
I completely agree.
Yeah, I think Zelda has like from Zelda 1, A Link to the Past, and on up through Ocarina of Time, there's like a set order for a Zelda game. Like they do these set things. They give you one main goal.
It's still a Zelda game, no doubt. Like,
Yeah.
Turn it on. I mean, they went 100% in the right direction. Like, 'cause it wasn't what I expected. But the story is still Zelda. Like, the characters are kind of corny.
Right.
The story's still, you're going to save a princess.
Yeah.
Her name's still Zelda. You're still Link.
Bad guy's still gaining.
Yep.
I
But,
think that
they just added so much more, though. I mean, as far as the crafting, the battle system is different. I mean, still, you want a sword and shield, but, like,
yeah,
the
and
way
it's
they
still
did
Z targeting basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Exploration system in that game is huge.
yeah.
Finding ingredients to cook with, craft with. The ruin system that they added to this one, where you have the ability to control time.
Yeah, the Sheikah Slate.
Yep, the Sheikah Slate is a big aspect of this one.
Yeah.
But it still starts like every other Zelda game with Link waking up.
Yeah.
I noticed that's like a staple of the series.
Yeah.
Every game starts with Link waking up. And it starts the same way with him in the cave, like waking up to do the mission.
Yeah, I feel like every Zelda has its like one gimmick too.
Yeah.
Like with Ocarina, it was the Ocarina of Time,
Right.
and with A Link Between Worlds, it was the portrait jumping in and out. With Majora's Mask, it was spoiler alert mask.
Yeah.
And then with this one, it was the Sheikah Slate. You know, make ice, control magnets.
Yep.
But the thing with Zelda is they always do something that's similar but different, and it's always good.
Yeah, it's
and
always
this one was
good.
no
Yeah.
different.
What was your favorite part of the Zelda?
For me, it was definitely the combat system in this one. It was really fluid. To be honest, this Zelda, it's going to sound weird, but it kind of correlates with me as like a child version of God of War. Like the new God of War for PlayStation.
That's actually a really good translation. Like,
Yeah, it really is like a children's version of God of War.
Yeah, I
It's
can see that a
not
little
brutal
bit.
and bloody with with all of that, but it does have like the open world, your set goal at the end with all of the side quests you have to do to stair step your way to the end. Then the fluid combat system, it was nuts. The combat system was definitely my favorite part.
One thing that I really didn't care about for the battle system, and I know it's not a huge deal, it's not a game breaker or anything, but I'm not a big fan of deteriorating weapons.
Yeah.
It felt like sometimes I was picking up a weapon and I was like, oh, awesome. And then 10 minutes later I was using a leaf because I'd already broke it or something. I'm super powerful for 2 minutes, and then, which I'm sure is why they did it, you know.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like, here's a taste of a really powerful weapon, and then
The only time I like weapon degradation is if you have the ability to repair it. I
Yeah.
hate when I work really hard to get a good weapon and
Yep.
it snaps when it's gone forever. That's annoying. But
one thing I really enjoyed was the way that the game started out. It didn't hold your hand. It just kind of said, hey, here's a little bit of an open world. Here are 3 shrines, and use a little bit of every system that's in the game. Like, you had to do some sort of crafting, or, going about a little quest to get a coat, or you had to cook
Yeah.
to make something spicy enough for you to go to the ice part. You had to figure out a way to get across that river. You had one straightforward shrine, and it just kind of eased you into all of the game's, mechanics without throwing like a tutorial of 10 minutes of, hey, press the stick to walk forward.
yeah.
And sometimes games do a little bit too much to hold our hands, I think.
One interesting thing you brought up was the coat. Like, because not only are you fighting enemies in this game, but you're fighting the climate as well, and the area you're in. Because I mean, there'll be massive rainstorms that hit, and now all of a sudden you're halfway up a mountain and you slide all the way to the
Oh,
bottom.
yes, the rain is...
And then, like, if you go into an area that's too cold and you don't have the meal prepared, because you can craft meals that give you attributes like cold resistance or heat resistance, more defense, more power. But if you go into an area to where you can't handle the cold, you'll just die. It's like damage over time. Just every time your hearts go down.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting with the clothing system that they had, the little buffs, because there's probably 100 little systems that this game has in place.
Yeah.
Like the weapon degradation, the weapon crafting, the ruins, the cooking, You know, just the clothing. And then that's just the overworld. Like when you get into combat, there's even more stuff that the game doesn't tell you about. Like being able to set enemies' weapons on fire.
Yeah.
And the AI in this game is incredibly intelligent. It's not like your normal, I'm going to stand there and take punishment AI.
Yeah.
Either. Like if you
They'll
set their
flank
weapon on
you
fire, yeah.
Yeah.
Like they will, and they'll go grab new weapons. like they don't stop. Like they
Yeah.
will punish you if you screw it up.
Yeah, and they're set up like the way they, like you'll have an archer in the right place. You know what I'm saying? You're fighting 3 dudes over here, this dude just taking pop shots at you the whole time.
Yeah.
Another really cool thing I think that you can do is, like, if you can think of something that would work in the real world, it works really well in the game.
Yeah.
Like setting grass on fire,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
The updraft from when you start a fire and you're paragliding, if you
Yeah.
go over smoke, it'll just
yeah,
take you back up in the air.
yeah. There's all kinds of crazy things like that.
I think one of the other things about Zelda that I liked was the art style. Not the graphics. The graphics are great, but any video game can do graphics. That's just the power of your system. But the art style that this game uses, where everything is made up, it's not like a video game where it's using a real destination or a human model or anything like that. These are all made up things. The monsters are made up, the weapons, the landscape, all that's made up. And the way that they portray that through the art style of the game is, in my opinion, it couldn't have been done any other way and still made the game as good as it is.
Yeah, and I think the team behind it, they have done in the past, like, they've always been really good about taking risks with the art style. Like with Twilight Princess, it was real dark. Yep. And with Wind Waker, you had a very cartoony cel shaded. And they've taken flack for stuff like that in the past, but they're not afraid to continue to do bold.
My favorite thing about this game is that you can do whatever you want. Like you said earlier, you start off on the plateau and you do those 3, I mean, they're not tutorial missions, they kind of teach you the basics. But after that, you get the paraglider and you can go wherever you want. You can go here, you can do this, or you can go this way. And it just doesn't matter because, like, the enemies.
If you see it, you can make it to there.
Yeah.
Like, if you see a mountain off in the distance, you can get to that mountain.
Yeah, I'm going there. And it
It
doesn't
might
matter.
be hard, but you can get there.
And, like, everything, it's not like this section's level 50 and this is level 23. No. It's like you haven't done, I think it scales with the Divine Beasts that you've beat.
Yeah.
So if you haven't beat any Divine Beasts, everything's going to be, like, beginner mode, and then you beat 1, it goes up to 2. So you can explore the whole world at the very beginning if you wanted to.
And at the same time, that no matter how much of the game you progress through, there's still monsters that can absolutely just one-shot you, destroy you. Do you remember when you had to collect the, what were they, the charge arrows?
Oh,
at the top of the hill.
Yeah.
I forever didn't know that I could just sneak around that monster and collect him. I'm sitting there, I must have died 20, 30 times, and I was getting so aggravated. But I kept playing, and I think that's another strong point of Zelda.
Yeah.
Like, you may get frustrated at it, but you know that it's something you're doing and not something the game's doing because the game's that good.
Right.
One of my favorite things about this game was the music, or at times the lack of music. I think that it did a fantastic job of just having subtle music cues most of the game. There was no soundtrack per se, really. I mean, there were a few tunes here and there, but it was mostly like ambient sounds in the background. A lot of, like, if you were in the forest, a lot of forest noises and stuff like that. Usually, I love soundtracks in games. Like, it's one of the main things I look for. But with this, the lack of soundtrack was perfect.
Right.
It set the mood, it immersed you, and it really did a good job of making you feel like you were on an adventure. I mean, it pulled me in. It was one of the best things about the game.
We talked a lot about the stuff we did like. What's some of the stuff you didn't like about Zelda Breath of the Wild?
The main thing would be, well, a side note, I hated the rain. That was just the most annoying thing I've ever seen in a video game, and I don't know why they put it in there because it'd been so much better if they didn't.
It served no purpose at all.
None at all.
Besides to annoy you.
Make you wait there until it stops.
Yeah, literally. Wait.
Yeah, I did that a few times. I was
Yeah.
like standing at the side of the mountain, just leave my game on and watch something on YouTube.
Yeah, I didn't know if I ran, if it made time go faster, so I'm running in circles.
No, there's a weather wheel at the bottom. You just have to wait till it's not raining anymore.
Oh, okay.
It can take forever.
Played the whole game, didn't know there was a weather wheel.
I didn't
Yeah,
either.
it's down the bottom. It sucks because forecast shows rain.
I guess what I really didn't like the most was I liked the shrines, but I didn't like the fact there wasn't like one complete dungeon. There's a bunch of mini dungeons.
Yeah.
There wasn't one big dungeon with a final boss at the end. I kind of miss that style in this one, I guess.
Yeah, I think to an extent the Divine Beasts were supposed to be part of that, like sort of set up as dungeons. One thing I sort of missed and sort of didn't miss was the like in older Zeldas, you would get an item in a dungeon and use that dungeon to progress through, or use that item to progress through the dungeon.
Right.
And in this one, you didn't have that, which it's a double-edged sword because, you know, if they would have put that in there, I would probably be complaining how the game's exactly like every other game.
It seems like they kind of took away items in general and just introduced the rune system anyway.
Yeah.
Like you have the bombs, and then you have like the ability to freeze time or water or whatever, the stasis ability. So they made you, and you get those incredibly easy. I feel like I didn't work for any rune that I got.
No.
They're given to you pretty much.
Yeah.
And you use those runes also to do like open world puzzles that don't matter, like collectibles, like the Kukuro seeds or, you know, anything like that. The shrines are also kind of collectibles, I guess, because you can use those orbs to upgrade your stamina or your health.
Oh yeah, I got lost in just climbing towers
Yep.
and doing shrines.
Yep.
And there was probably a 10-hour period of gameplay where I didn't go do any divine beasts. I was just like seeing how much of the map I could open up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I spent 2 hours on a shrine with a traveler's sword trying to kill a monster that was well outside my pay grade. It would one-shot me no matter what I did. I'd get it like half health and it would kill me. But on the flip side of that, if you're good enough and, you know, didn't suck like I did, you could beat that even though you're not meant to be there. Like, you could still beat it if you were good enough with your parry and your dodge.
So here we are 2 years after release. What would you give Zelda now?
I would give it a solid 9.25.
Nice.
Saying it's great, and they went in a really good direction with this. I mean, there's a lot of new things, a lot of old, and it was really good. But they could have added a lot more to it, I think. So that's where I go with it.
I think for me, it's going to be a 9 point flat. 9.0. They did go in a new direction, and they did add a lot of good mechanics, but the story was just still so lackluster. If you're going to reboot the franchise, give me some killer cutscenes, add some thickness to the story, some meat. You wake up, you kill Ganon for 40 hours.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's what you're doing. There's side missions with side plots and all that, but, you know, that's it. That's all you're doing the whole time.
Yeah, even the DLC only added like one sentence of storyline.
8.5. I hate DLC.
For me, I would rate it about a 9.5. I honestly thought that would be the lowest score out of all of us because I remember when this game came out, everyone was giving it 10s.
Yeah.
And I feel about the same now as I did then. I haven't lowered the score. And it's for the same reason that you said. When I was playing this game, I was thinking to myself, graphics, amazing. Artwork, amazing. Music, amazing. Combat system, perfect. But I know what's going to happen. It's Zelda.
Yeah.
I mean, I wake up, I go and I save Zelda, and I fight Ganon.
And that's it.
And yeah, beginning to end, I know the entire story. Which, that's just what Zelda is, and that's fine. But to me, that kept it from being a perfect game.
Well, this was just another game review. So if you like what we did here, click that button. If you think we're shit, let us know.
But don't click that button.
Joseph.